Hello and welcome to my channel. Rhino here. Joining me this evening, I have just down below there, I've got Ethan Micheal. Is it pronounced Michael? I know it's not quite spelled Michael. Oh, we seem to have lost your audio.
Is that... There we go.
There
yes,
we go. Yeah, there we
Ethan
are.
Micheal. My mom insists she did spell it correctly, but I still wonder if she did.
That's
Which is
fair
confusing.
Enough. Well, I was just gonna quickly say, so with regards to last name spellings, my last name, we're of Scottish descent, and there's a whole big branch of my family that is missing, or no, I am the branch that's missing the O, but they have an extra O, and the story behind that is that one of my ancestors was like super drunk when he was filling out a birth certificate or something on whiskey from his own distillery.
Wow.
So I have the incorrect spelling of my last name, so there's that.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's I do find myself in a situation where I have to constantly, like, the thumbnail will come out for a video, and I'll be like, I'm sorry, but my name's spelled wrong. It's Micheal. But
yeah.
You were the first one to get it right on the first time.
Yeah, and that's because I was searching for a picture for you for the thing, and I spelled it the way I thought it was spelled, and you didn't come up. So I looked extra hard when I was actually making the thumbnail. So anyway, so if you're in my audience, you probably recognize Ethan. He runs the Your Friendly Neighborhood Atheist channel, and you will know him from Matt Powell's latest movie, The Atheist Religion, which I'm sure you've seen it too. What are your thoughts? Did he actually... Because I came away from that not even realizing, like, I forgot that he was even trying to prove that atheism was a religion in it.
I don't know what it was about. It was all over the place.
Yeah, Grady McMurtry made that point once, and then it just never came up again.
Yeah, and it just seemed the entire video was about everything but atheism. And I don't see how anyone walking away from that actually thinks that in any ways that shows atheism is a religion.
Well, I do have a little bit of sympathy for him, because there have been many times in my videos where, like, I start making a point, and then I'll just lose track of where I was going, and the point just disappears, and I'm off on some other tangent. But that, like, we're talking within like 30 seconds of like one of the points that I'm making. It's not like if it's the topic of the video. Well, generally I don't title my videos until I'm done with the script, so I know what I'm already talking about.
How much time do you spend making a video, on average?
Oh, gosh. I think about 8 hours per video, at least.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a full-time gig for me, so gotta
That's a lot
make
of
sure.
work.
So, we do have a super chat coming in. I do just want to mention, if you have any questions for Ethan, I've got a couple of questions from members and patrons that I'm going to go into later. But if you have any questions, just send it in a super chat, and I'll get to it at the end of the video, at the end of the interview. Speaking of, we never really put an end time on this. How long are you willing to go?
Oh, I'm good with whatever. So
okay, yeah.
As long as you want to go, we're good.
Things start to peter out after about an hour and a half in my live streams.
All right. Well, hopefully I can be entertaining for a whole hour and a half then.
Hopefully. So, oh, yeah, that's right. There's a big delay between when people send stuff. So, actually, yeah, I wanted to mention this earlier. I saw him when I started the countdown. That's just some geeky guy. I assume it was being facetious, but when I started the countdown, he was like, oh, come on, we've been waiting long enough already. Now there's a countdown. Hey, got to give YouTube some time to push the notification out there so people can get in the chat so they don't miss our kind of aimless banter at the beginning.
And that's, you know, I have been trying to find a good video to do the same with that. So now I'm doing a fundraiser this Thursday at 7 p.m. But I'm like, you know what? I'll start it at 6:55. I don't have an actual countdown, and I'll just kind of do like a pre-show, 5 minutes
pre-show
until we kick it.
It's not a bad idea. Actually, this is going to be the first ever live stream that I have, like, my outro is queued up and ready to go. So it's not just going to be a, like, suddenly accidentally cut myself off mid-word, which is what I normally do. But yeah, so the movie, it looks like it was filmed in a pre-COVID world.
No, it was during COVID. It was actually this past, well, he had said he'd been working on it for a long time when he approached me, and he couldn't get any other atheists to talk to him, and he really just wanted to sit down and have a friendly conversation with an atheist. So me, being my optimistic and excitable self, was like, dude, of course I'll talk to you. And then he had warned me that there were other atheists that he had feuds with, and I was like, well, dude, that's between you and them. I don't really care. I'll judge you on how you treat me and other people. So I started watching some of his content, and I was like, okay, this is interesting.
Did you see the video games rant?
No, I did not see the video games rant.
Oh, that's one of his most amusing sermons, I guess.
And I also found it odd that he wanted to talk to the guy that was probably the least qualified atheist for talking science in the atheist community. And I made that known. I make that known on all my shows. Like, dude, this is not my area. I don't know how much I contribute. And I love saying that when I know I don't know how much I can contribute to a particular conversation. And I said that, both first text, and when we had chatted on the phone, he's like, no, it's okay, we'll be fine. And even when we were there and we started going through everything, he kept going back to that area, and I'm like, dude, I don't know, man, this isn't my area. So I tried to meet him halfway and engage into the conversation as best as I could. One of my favorite cuts he made, though, was when I said God is nowhere in thermodynamics, and he said, but you just told me that you didn't know what was in thermodynamics. Well, what he didn't show was I had asked him to lay out thermodynamics for me and point specifically where God was in it. So when I had said God is nowhere in thermodynamics, I was basing it off the information he had just previously given me.
Nice. So he actually looked up the law. Was it the scientific wording, or was it like from some creationist site that dumbed it down a lot?
It was like in his own words. But even in his own words, there was still no God in there.
His own words get the laws of thermodynamics wrong is one of the things that he always says. That he often says matter cannot be created nor destroyed. And it's like, well, then E equals MC squared is wrong, because that's that whole thing. That's energy converts into matter. It's so it's energy cannot be created or destroyed. Sure. And it's possible that energy's been around forever, for an eternity. Like I mean, time wouldn't exist then, so whatever eternity means when there is no time. But like,
right.
And
I mean, I don't get why he didn't want to talk to a more qualified person. I mean, I guess I do now, because he did a very good job of making me look stupid.
No, I think, you know what? I think you handled yourself very well in that movie. You were not afraid to say, I don't know, when that was the real answer to the question. And like a lot of people are afraid of, like, they don't want to look dumb, so they just give an answer when they don't necessarily have an answer.
Screw
so
that.
I really respect how you handled yourself during his interview. That's one of the reasons I kind of wanted to talk to you. But I will tell you, I'm very conservative when it comes to deciding whether or not I'm going to call someone a liar. Like, generally, I would give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, whatever you're saying, I'm just going to assume that you sincerely believe whatever you're saying, and you're just wrong or mistaken, or it's cognitive dissonance or something like that. Matt Powell is on the short list of people that I've seen him behave in a way that there's no way to explain it, except for he's actively being deceptive. It's like, I literally, he literally made a response video to a woman, I forget her name, Anna Campbell, I think. Yeah, Anna Campbell. He made a response video to her video explaining why she believes in God and the version of God that she believes in, but he cut it in a way that made her look like she was an atheist, and then responded to, like, he titled the video, like, you know, atheist believes in magic or something like that. It's like, there's no way you can get through that video and come out the other end believing she's an atheist, because she legit says, I believe in God, right in the video. So, like, I don't know.
That's odd.
Like, if he wants to come, if I have a standing invitation, if he wants to come on my channel, he's welcome to, but I'm not going, like, that'll be a no holds barred discussion. I'm not gonna put on the kitty gloves for him.
I would love to see that. And he is. So if you don't, he can be incredibly approachable, especially through chat. Like, very, at all initial appearances, very nice guy. Now, he was never rude to me in any capacity. He was polite the whole time. He's obviously, I did try and bring the conversation back to some of his anti-LGBTQIA plus remarks, but he...
Oh, that never made it in the video.
Oh, no, of course it didn't. He did not like talking about it. And there was a line from there, I actually thought he was going, I'm like, dude, I was legitimately scared that he was going to cut something from that conversation and post it. But I'm glad he didn't, because I guess at the same time, him talking about the LGBTQIA plus community in a negative way probably doesn't help his cause at all.
No, it doesn't. But I think, being a member of the NIFB, I think we can all kind of guess at what his stance is there.
And he equates them to all male homosexuals to pedophiles, and it's like, we're going back and forth on this, and he did not want to stick on topic, but he loved throwing out random information. Oh, I could point to 10 doctors who would agree, or 10 scientists. Okay, which ones? Well, I would have to get them to you later. Oh, okay.
Hey,
so you don't have them available now.
He can't even do that. Did you I'm sure you probably noticed in the video where he said legitimately, I can point you to 10 atheists that believe the universe came from nothing, and then in the video he gives one example.
Right.
And it wasn't even the easy example. He could have gone to Lawrence Krauss, the guy who wrote the book called The Universe from Nothing. But instead, I think it was Dan Barker. I didn't recognize him at the time because I don't know. Since starting a YouTube channel, I don't really watch other YouTube channels very much. It's one of the kind of things, like, being a YouTuber, I don't have time for YouTube.
Yes, I know what you mean. It gets harder and harder to keep up with other people's content, and I try to be active in the community as much as I can and in chat, but yeah, it can be difficult because, I mean, for me personally, I have a regular full-time job, and I stream like 3 to 4 times a week on 2 different channels. So it's like I have 2 full-time jobs right now. It's a lot of work, but I don't know about you, Vice Rhino, but I love doing this. It
Absolutely.
is so much fun.
It is. It is a lot of fun. I've met a lot of great people through this.
Yes.
And actually, do you know Shannon Q?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So, she's wonderful, and I recently released a video it's me reading an Answers in Genesis book, and in the past I've had Shannon kind of read through articles for me so that I'm not responding to myself when I'm responding to text. And I got a lot of complaints on this last video saying, why didn't you get Shannon to do it again? Come on. Why? Because I just put some vocal effects on myself. But yeah, met a lot of great people. Paul is kind of my, he's kind of been my historic man crush, Paulogia. And there was this whole thing going on back way back when Paul and I were smaller channels. Where we were kind of joking that I don't show my face. Paul does show his face on occasion. Our voices are kind of similar, and you've never seen us on a stream together. So there was this thing going, Vice Rhino is Paulogia.
Really?
Yeah, that was a whole thing, and that still has repercussions today. Like, I got a wonderful message from someone that was talking about all the amazing things that have happened in their lives as a result of their deconversion from religion, and thanking a bunch of different people for it. And this was one directed specifically at me, but they listed a whole bunch of other people that they said, and then they said, "Thank you, Paul," to me. So it's like, I haven't gotten that in a while. But it was a lovely comment. I really enjoy that sort of thing.
Yes, it's rewarding. Since starting my show on mental health with Jenna Belk, so many people reach out and just thank and appreciate us for just covering every topic under the sun that involves mental health. And it's like, holy shit, I got into this because I really wanted to help make a difference and educate people, and I feel like even on a very small scale, I'm getting to do that, and that alone is worth all the hard work. Like, it's such a
absolutely.
rewarding
Just
feeling.
one email is all you need.
Yes. And it can just be that one message, like you just said, and it can turn your day, your week, a month around, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So you do a show on mental health. Now I know you have ADHD, right?
Yes, and it's unfortunately gotten really bad over the past 2 years.
Can you, if you don't mind, if you're comfortable talking about it, do you mind just giving us a little bit of an insight into what it's like living with ADHD?
Sure. It can be, at many times I'll be like, ADHD is my superpower, but then also it can be very debilitating because it can impact you in every aspect of your life. Right now, it's at the best way I could describe it is like nonstop explosions going off in your head of ideas, words, and things. Like, there's always this noise that you can't get to shut off, and it can make it very difficult even in doing basic tasks like engaging in conversations, reading a book, because you're doing something, you're reading, and then you're just gone. You're communicating with someone, and then all of a sudden you're like, you trailed off for a total minute and you missed the last minute of what they said, and it's embarrassing and a struggle, and at times people think you're being disrespectful, you're not trying, and it's like, no, you don't understand. I am trying everything I can to listen and focus on everything you're saying, but I can't always do that. I've gotten better now with trying to create notes, set alarms, reminders, but I guess that's why I'm an excellent multitasker, because I can't stay focused on one thing. But I have to do audiobooks only, because I can't tell you how many times I'll have to read a single page over and over and over again to get even the littlest bit out of it. And it really makes you feel dumb at times, because you'll watch other people learn so quickly, and it's frustrating because you want to. And Hannah Vaughn and I were just talking about this. It can even impact you in. Do we have any restrictions on what we can say?
No, my streams generally don't make a lot of money, so I'm not worried about monetization.
Okay. So it can even impact you in the bedroom. And this is, what Hannah Vaughn and I had just talked about was 1 minute you can be engaged in the best, most awesome sex of your life. And then it's, did I feed my cat? Did I reply to this work email? And then you're like, nope, stop, focus, stop thinking about this. But when you're a man, that doesn't work. So once your brain splits off, you're done. And as Hannah described it, you have to take a break, reset, because there's nothing you can do to flip that switch again and get back into it. It can be so difficult to live with, and I think it has definitely made me insecure over my intelligence. And I'm excuse me, I'm losing my voice a little bit because I've done 3 shows today. But let me just take a drink of water. Sorry.
Absolutely.
I remember in 6th grade, I was falling behind. So they gave me a reading comprehension test. And they essentially went back to my parents and were like, he basically reads at a 3rd grade level, because they didn't understand or know what ADHD was. So they didn't realize It's not that I couldn't read, it's that I couldn't focus and retain that information. And once I was given that news, it really impacted how secure I feel with my intelligence. Like watching people like even you, Vice Rhino, Vila, Bianca, Matt, and hearing them talk, it's overwhelming at times. It's like, how is this possible? How can you guys do all this and maintain or retain all this information and what appears to be learning so quickly? And it's probably one of the reasons that kept me from making atheist content, because I'm like, I'm not smart enough, I'm dumb, I can't do what these people can do. And I had to train myself not to think like that. Be like, no, you don't need to be like them. Be yourself be relatable. That's something you're good at, and be entertaining and have fun. Like, find a way to make this atheist content enjoyable to listen to more people.
Yeah.
I think I just went on a tangent there. Sorry.
No, that's perfectly all right. That's exactly the kind of answer I was looking for. Now, ADHD, I think, is one of those things that kind of gets trivialized a bit, kind of like OCD. Now, I'm going to tell just a story. I used to work with a lady that legitimately had OCD, but I didn't know that it was legitimate OCD. And because that's one of the mental health issues that so many people just be like, oh, I just have to have my thing straight because that's my OCD or whatever. Because of that, I thought that's what she was doing. And I'm the kind of person that, like, I like a good friendly ribbing or whatever. So I would do things like I would wear mismatched socks, and I would, like, just pull up my pant, like, me, like, look what I'm wearing, and just to bug her, because she would react, and I thought it was amusing, and she acted like it was amusing. But when I actually found out that she legitimately had OCD, I felt absolutely terrible, and so that was kind of a life lesson for me with regards to mental health issues, to, like, don't use something that is a legitimate mental health as something for you if you're, I guess, neurotypical is the...
Correct.
Yeah. So, like, don't take that on yourself and be like, oh, I keep getting distracted by Twitter. I must be ADHD. Like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts.
So yeah, I just I kind of want to get that out there. That's one of the things that once I learned that lesson is just like, okay, well let's share this so that more people can be aware of this, and so we can do less harm to people.
Right. And you know, too often people, adults, bosses, teachers, they're just, why can't you just focus? You just need to do this. It's like, it doesn't work like that. Yes. Yeah. There are things we need to do to hold ourselves accountable and try. And like, I have tried so many different medications. I'm going through kratom. I've tried different strains of marijuana, and I cannot get it under control. And it's been exacerbated in the past 2 years. So do I have a time to ramble, or should we move on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So essentially what happened in 2011, my brother passed away. I suffered from depression as a result. Shortly after the depression, I was on medication. I developed epilepsy, and I started having seizures. And from there, my life went to shit. I was on 3 different seizure medications a day, several antidepressants. I was getting injections into my stomach. I was on ADHD medicine. It was just nonstop medication. I had ballooned up to 250 pounds and turned into a complete zombie, like a shell of who I was. And after I found medical marijuana and found the strain that worked for me, or strains that worked for me, and CBD, all of a sudden I stopped having seizures. So I got off all my seizure medication. I got off my antidepressants, got off pretty much every medication I was on, and I haven't had a seizure in over all of 2019 and all of 2020 so far. No seizures, which is amazing. Now, to be clear, I am not saying that there is a complete... I can say for certain that it was the medical marijuana and CBD. All I know is that after I started that, everything got better. But my point is, as I came out of this, my brain and body started like firing again, almost like it was like learning how to do everything. I remember the first time I felt legitimate joy, my eyes teared up. When I got sad, I was really sad. Like, I had to learn my emotions all over again. And I went through this period for about a year and a half where I could only sleep like 3 hours a night because my brain was just on fire. Like, it would not stop. And it's improved, but it's really taken my ADHD to a level that I have not experienced before, which can make it so debilitating to deal with on a day-to-day basis. It's frustrating. But I'm going to keep looking. I'm trying to, Jenna Belk holds a meditation every morning on her channel. I'm trying to do that to, trying to do everything I can to get this under control, because it's not enjoyable, like, having this just going off in your brain at all times.
Yeah, well, I wish you all the best in that.
Thanks.
That's definitely. I try to be a mental health advocate on my channel when appropriate.
I would love to real quick address Gel's comment. I apologize if I'm saying the name wrong. I can already hear people say Ethan is an atheist because he's mad at God for the life experiences he's had. It's not only that. I have gotten that several times. It's, oh, your brother passed, you're mad at God. I also got, well, you're only an atheist because you had seizures and it damaged your brain. So it's remarkable the shitty things people will say.
Yeah, I would think, like, if you had seizures and it damaged your brain and that makes you an atheist, then that means that God literally made you an atheist because he's the one that's in control of the thing that gave you the seizures, right?
Right.
But I mean, I think as the Calvinists are actually okay with that view. But yeah, that's actually, I saw that comment too, and I was going to kind of use that as a transition into what is it that makes you, like, have you ever been religious and then you deconverted, or have you always kind of just not believed and you've just never seen anything convincing for it, or why are you an atheist, Ethan?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think about that time and time again because I, in some ways, think I would have always been an atheist if I had been given the critical thinking skills I have now and was aware of the fallacies I was making. I was raised Christian. I went to a Catholic junior high school, which, contrary to popular belief, was actually a great experience. Like, that was my favorite school. It was...
Yeah, from what I've heard, it's either you love it or you hate it. There's no middle ground.
Yeah, it was good. And I wanted to be cool in 6th grade, and I told the other kids I was an atheist. I didn't really know what it meant, and they were like, you can't say that here. And next thing I know, I'm getting called to the principal's office. Her name's Sister D, and the nicest lady ever, and I just know, I'm like, I'm screwed. I'm going to get kicked out of school. And she sat me down, and she asked if I said what I said, and I said, yeah. And she goes, do you know what that means? And I was like, no. She's like, all right, it's okay. You can go back to class. And I'm like, I'm not in trouble. She's like, no, you're fine. Go back to class. And I never had any issues. Like, it was a great experience. But I was a believer at that time. I couldn't comprehend the concept of not believing. Yeah. But I'd never been religious, but I had always been looking into different religions to try and see why people believed what they believed. I was heavily conservative Republican, and that's where most of my indoctrination came from. I was a Limbaugh-loving, Bill O'Reilly, Fox News, fair and balanced, don't you dare kneel for the flag, American patriot. But I essentially one day was like, okay, 50% of the U.S. does not agree with my political opinion. Maybe there's something I'm missing. So I forced myself to start watching some liberal news, and I was so angry listening to liberal media, like pissed off the whole time. Like, imagine a Fox News Republican forced to be tortured with liberal news. That's what it felt like. But from there, I stumbled across the atheist experience, and that's where I saw Matt Dillahunty, and I'm like, this guy's an asshole. But he made so much sense that it was like overriding my brain. And I was one of those people that, like, I believed because what else could it be? That was the reasoning I used. I don't know, therefore God. And I remember when that fallacy got brought up with a caller, I immediately was like, holy crap, that's what I've been doing my whole life. I just saying I don't know, therefore God. And I was one of the lucky ones. I pretty much stopped believing in that moment and was like, okay. And I just continued to learn, but the part that took forever was removing those Republican patriot stripes from my brain.
Yeah,
and they're still there at times. Like, I still get those triggers when I see liberals say certain things, and I'm like, stop it, turn that crap off, because it was heavy. You know, again, I loved Limbaugh, so it took a lot of mental work to unlearn all that bullshit.
Yeah, I can definitely empathize with that, because I actually went through this really weird thing where so I was raised in a very liberal church. It was actually the first Christian denomination in all of Canada that not only would accept LGBTQ pastors but would perform marriage ceremonies. And I kind of self-radicalized through just, I guess, logical syllogism. I was like, okay, well, if God is all-powerful and has a special message that he wants us to have, it's going to be perfect and inerrant. And it says in it that gayness is wrong. And it says in it that the earth was created in 6 days. So I guess I'm a young earth creationist now. Which is like... Every time I just had this experience recently, but like every time I look into like the original Hebrew that some of the Old Testament was written in, particularly Genesis, I was like, I have Dr. Josh of Digital Hammurabi on speed dial for that sort of thing, because he knows where, like, if he doesn't know it off the top of his head, he knows where to find the answer.
That's awesome.
Well, he's an Assyriologist who has a I think it's a master's in Old Testament Hebrew or something like that. Like, he specializes in that. So and like the last one was the what was it? It was the curse on women, where they're cursed with painful childbirth. And then there's one passage that, depending on your translation, in one translation it says your desire shall be toward your husband, but then you go to the next translation and it will say your desire will be contrary to your husband. Like, those are opposites. How do you get that out of one thing? And when I looked into it, it's like, we only have 3 examples of this Hebrew word ever being used, and only one of the other examples is even in a remotely similar context. And there's like 5 different potential meanings that this could have, and we just don't have enough information to give a definitive answer on that. So it's like, okay then. So we don't, like, this Hebrew word, we don't even know what it means, really. I mean, we kind of do. Like, we have the gist of it, but there's so many nuanced interpretations that it could have. So to then just have this information and then look at an English translation of the Bible and say, this is the inerrant word of God and it means exactly what it says. Like, does it though?
Right. Like, how many times has it been translated? Why would I consider it reliable? And real quick, one thing I do, because of one of the comments that came in, I am not in any way suggesting anybody stops taking their seizure medicine and starts taking CBD or marijuana. You need to talk to a trained medical professional. I am not one, so please do it responsibly and look into it yourself.
Fully agree. Don't take medical advice from a YouTube channel.
No.
Especially not mine.
I'm a retired DJ. You should not be taking medical advice from me at all.
Yeah. I was going to go somewhere after that.
Oh, I have a bad habit of derailing conversations.
Oh, that's... I derail myself all the time. Like I said, you know how many of my videos I've caught that, like, after I've published the video, I've like gone off on a rant and been like, firstly, da 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 da, and then there's no secondly. It's like, well, why did I say firstly if there's no secondly?
And you know what's actually really difficult for me right now? So I'm standing here with my hands in my pocket, because usually when I'm like streaming and YouTubing, I'm producing, so I'm managing the stream, I'm engaging in the chat, putting comments on the screen. So right now I'm like trying to keep my hands to themselves and force them in the pocket, because I need to be doing something.
Yeah, you can moderate the chat if you want.
I'll definitely keep an eye on the chat.
I'm actually really bad for, like, I almost completely ignore the chat while I'm streaming. Like, I'll look over occasionally, I'll notice a couple things here and there, but I'm pretty bad for that. And actually, I haven't seen S. Glubal in the chat, but I know I just recently had an interaction with S. Glubal. This is someone that's been on my channel for ages. They've evolution denier, and they are always in my comment section arguing with people. And I've invited them on the channel, but we keep on like being like ships crossing in the night. We don't see, like, he sent me his email address and I missed it, and I don't know. But so if you see them.
Have you ever thought about doing a call-in show?
I actually have done a call-in show.
You did?
I did, yes. But the I think I'm going to stick with guesting on call-in shows.
Oh, sorry, that's what I meant. Have you ever thought about guesting on a call-in show?
I have. I was on. Oh God, which one was it? The Line. I was on The Line a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week. It's COVID days. I stay inside all day.
Right.
And fight with my children over their schoolwork. So I don't know what day it is. But so I've been on The Line. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be on Talk Heathen at some point. I've discussed it with Eric, and it's just always been a scheduling issue. Right. And I did do my own call-in show like once. And then it turns out I'm like terrible at managing the whole, like talking to someone and looking at the call queue, and I don't know. It was a nightmare.
It's a lot of work. Like, I get why the ACA has multiple producers like doing that, but in a way, I actually love doing it because I'm monitoring the calls, the stream, the chat, and talking to people. And in a way, it's really awesome because, like, that's kind of where my focus comes in. I can hone focus on all four of those things. And for some odd reason, when I'm doing something like that, it's easier for me to remember everything the person's saying. Whereas if I'm just like solely focusing on one thing, it can be more difficult for me.
Yeah. Oh, I remember what I was going to ask you. So, with regards to your getting into like Rush Limbaugh and Bill O'Reilly and everything, have you listened to the audiobook of Seth Andrews' Confessions of a Fox News Christian?
No, I bought it, and I've been meaning to listen to it because, from my understanding, he was pretty much, same as me.
Yeah, you basically copied one of his chapters with the little summary. But
oh, really?
Yeah, it's very similar. I'm only about halfway through it right now, but yeah, it's a good listen. I do audiobooks as well. For me, it's more that I don't have time to read because I have 3 kids, and
right.
Yeah.
And this is your full-time job?
This is my full-time job, yes.
That's so cool.
It is. It's a lot of work, though. And
yeah, I can imagine, especially with the type of content you're putting out, like a lot of time researching.
Well, there are times when I actually have to like take a step back from the comment section because I'm about to like do some snarky, mean response to someone who's actually trying to be nice to me. It's like, nope, step back. Don't need to send my viewers away because I got tired of a question that's been asked 5 times already. But,
yeah, and by the way, everyone watching, I apologize. My voice is a little raspy. I did 3 shows earlier today. I don't know why I booked that many, but I did on the busiest week of my life. So I apologize.
Okay, so I know I said I was going to do super chats at the end, but I want to get to this one now because it made me chuckle. Waterblanc says, "Fuck, marry, kill. Matt Powell, raw Matt, a bit of orange." Are you familiar with a bit of orange?
No, I'm not.
He's another creationist. He's been working a lot with Eric Hovind recently. I kind of cut my teeth on his channel. He was the first like real series I got into where he was doing a series on a website and I was responding to his series. I think he was the first creationist to do a response video to my response to him, and that eventually ended up in one of my videos, which is it's 5 response videos in one because I'm responding to his response of me responding to him responding to a website. So it got a little bit out of hand, but
yeah.
I should. I'm kind of debating because like his content was kind of fun, so it was kind of fun to respond to. But at the same time, his channel's like basically dead, and I don't want to revive it.
That's probably a good point too. You wouldn't want to do that. I've thought about doing response videos, but I don't think I would be any good at them. I'm going to leave that to the more knowledgeable people like yourself.
Well, I mean, there's room for everybody. Because I know myself, I tend to focus on biology and geology, which is a really weird combination. Those were my two least favorite sciences in school.
Really?
Yeah. I was a physics guy, because physics is just straight up math. You make the math work and it works. Whereas biology, you'd have to remember like the ATP transfer chain, and what does DNA stand? Deoxyribose nucleic acid or whatever. And there was a whole lot of memorizing of like highly technical jargon that I didn't really like. Whereas with physics, it's just like you just need to know the equation. Right. And then in school they made us buy these $150 programmable calculators. So I'm like, and we never used them to the best of their ability. So I was like, you know what? If they're making me spend the money on this fancy calculator, I'm going to program it with all the formulas I'm supposed to remember. So then they make you take it into the test. You're like, if I forget the formula, I could just go look at my code and like, there's the formula, and then run the code, and it's like, okay, I did get the answer right. There we go. It's not cheating. I'm using the tool that they made me buy. Right. But,
I am never been very good at math. I'm really good at memorizing numbers. Like for some reason, all the most of the people I talk to on the phone with, I don't search their number in my phone. I just have their number memorized and I type it out. But beyond that, I wasn't really ever. I really couldn't get into school. Like I wish they had audiobooks when I was younger, because that would have gotten me way further than just being handed a book and said, told to read the chapters.
Yeah.
One of the other things, when you had asked like about my Christianity, and I think when I was saying like I was one of the lucky ones and I always felt like I would have been an atheist had I been given the skills, it's because for me, like things either make sense or they don't. And at times I can't always explain why they don't make sense. But like, for instance, when I first heard the Kalam, like now I am better at explaining why it doesn't follow, like why it doesn't get you to God. But in the beginning, it was just like, this thing doesn't make sense. How does it get you to God? Which can be incredibly frustrating when you hear these big theistic arguments and you're just like, your brain's picking out things, but you don't necessarily have the knowledge set to properly explain and break down.
This is more intuitive than what's the word? More intuitive than actually being able to put it into words.
Yes, that would be a good way to put it, which is frustrating because my friend Puck has pounded in my head like, how do you know? How do you know? You need to be able to explain how you know what you know, and it's true. And it's frustrating when I feel like I know something, but I don't know how to explain it. And it's like, okay, I got to be careful then, because then I could be doing the same thing theists are and using my feelings to determine what's true. And I don't want to rely on that.
Yeah. Kalam is a fun one because that's one of the ones that it shows just so well that it's based on special pleading. So then they reword it to get rid of the special pleading, but then you can find more special pleading in this part, and then like every time it gets reworded, it gets you further and further away from an actual God, right. Until now Kalam is one specific instance of the cosmological argument, but like now it gets you to a cause, like. Okay, the universe had a cause. Sure, we can agree. What was the cause? I don't know. You're saying exactly. You do know.
And I'll never understand how somebody finds that argument compelling. Like, even in my theist day or Christian days, I could, like, if someone had said that argument to me, I would have been like, okay. Like, that's not really convincing. I don't understand it.
See, I can get that one because that one's kind of like everything we are familiar with has a cause in something else.
Right.
The response here is like we don't actually have experience with something that doesn't have a cause, so we have nothing to compare it to, so we don't even know what that would look like. So it's kind of a moot point, but just intuitively it feels right that you get back to the beginning and there had to be some other cause. So I can see how you can kind of get to a god from there, but the one that I've never understood how anyone can even take it seriously is the ontological argument. So that's the one where, like, God is... like, I can imagine a maximally great being,
yes,
and a maximally great being would be greater if he was not just in my imagination but also real. Therefore, it is real. There's like 8 different forms of the argument. That's one of the 8. There's also the definitional one where it's like, oh, if I define God as having the characteristic of necessity, then he exists by necessity because he has that characteristic. It's like, you can't just define him into like, I can define a necessary unicorn. I can imagine a maximally great pizza. Like that. Like it just, I don't know how anyone takes that one seriously. Obviously, I'm not steel manning the argument here, but it's not much better than what I'm saying.
No, and that's the other thing I've learned, which so for those who don't know, Puck is like Spock. Our relationship is like he's Spock and I'm Kirk. I just go off my gut and just do things to do them, and he's like, no, we've got to take the time and analyze this. Let's break this down, which has been very beneficial because even when it's something he agrees with me on, he'll be like, well, can you explain why you feel this way? And he'll like challenge me. He even has told me he believes he could convert me to Christianity, and he's an atheist. But he is, when you said steel manning the position, it made me think of that. Like, he's like, if you can't steel man a position properly, then can you really be, how did he word it? Can you really be trying to debunk or go against it? I'm butchering his wording, and he's going to kill me, so I better be careful.
Well, it's good to have friends that you disagree with. Like,
it's good to have friends that will, and not just him. There are many great people within this community that I rely on, like Jenna Bell, Kenneth Leonard, best name ever. Like, these are people who constantly take the time to try and educate me, who I'll like pound them with questions like, well, what about this? Why this? Why this? And they spend so much time trying to help me learn. And it's awesome being around people who want to help you get better, and who, most importantly, will be honest. Like, I have these close friends around me that I've met that I can count on to be like, hey, when you said that this is stupid, or, you know, you made this fallacy, like, and that's important. We should hold each other accountable, because the only way I'm going to get better is if someone tells me where I'm screwing up.
Absolutely. So it's also helpful if they can do that in a kind way.
Yes. Yes, I agree. As nice as possible, but I, for one, gauge my relationship with a person with how honest they will be with me. Like, I've never been into the sales bullshit, and I will finesse things for other people, but I don't like when people do it with me. I do not like, just cut through the shit, give me the facts, don't worry about my feelings, let me hear it.
That's actually, I think this is the video of mine that's coming out tomorrow, but the guy is talking about how we make emotional decisions rather than rational decisions in most of our lives. And so he goes through and is like, well, when you bought your car, did you research all the cars and make sure you bought the one that was the perfect one for your life? And I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I did. That's a lot of money. Why would I make that choice? Like, I test drove like 10 cars, but I pretty much knew which one I was going to buy before I test drove them. And then when I test drove them, I didn't like the one that I ended up buying because, like, it just wasn't as fun to drive as some of the other ones.
Right.
But it was the one that ticked off all of the rational boxes. So it's like, yeah, I did make that decision rationally.
I would see, that's where I'm weaker. I probably would have been like, no, like, not that I need fancy things, I don't mean that, but sometimes I'll go with the thing I want a little bit more over the thing that is more based on necessity.
I think I might have ended up doing something similar, except the car that I really, really liked didn't have 3 seats in the back, and I have 3 kids, so that was kind of a deal breaker. It's like, there's only 2 seatbelts back there.
Yeah, that wouldn't
it's like
work.
We probably could make it work because we have the van, but so Yeah, so I made my choice rationally, and
That's smart.
well, I don't know. For me, it might just be a temperament thing, but like sometimes for me, making the rational choice is the emotionally satisfying thing. Like I really enjoy the feeling of transferring money into a savings account. Like I don't really like shopping, so when I transfer money into a savings account, that feels good to me. But some people just like shopping more than me, so I guess I'm just lucky to be wired that way.
Yes, because that impulsivity at times is like, you're just like, no, I want this. I have to have it like right now. Like it's this, I don't know. It's an overwhelming feeling that, yes, I probably need to get more disciplined in, but I'm not really doing anything like buying anything off the wall by any means. I've actually gotten better over time. Several years ago, I had just a stack of laptops, and finally, about a year and a half ago, I was like, I have no use for these things. So I went on Facebook and I'm like, if you need a friggin' laptop, comment. And I just started giving them away because I'm like, there's literally doing nothing for me. Maybe they'll help somebody else. So I have tried to curve those as much as possible and only get what I need. But that could be just the older age coming in.
So I just heard my wife laughing in the other room. I'm guessing she's laughing the same thing I was just kind of giggling at. We literally just sent a whole stack of laptops to the electronics recycler. In this case, it's not because we bought laptops but we didn't need it. It's because we're kind of hoarders. So like one of the laptops was the laptop that I had in high school in 2003. So it's like,
that's pretty old.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, this, like, no, it's not even going to turn on anymore. Why do we still have it?
Yeah.
But sometimes the hoarding is justified. Like my son one year for Christmas, he asked for a laptop. So what I did was I grabbed a bunch of old laptops. I like took parts out of them. Like I took the keyboard off of one, and I took like bits of the monitor off another, and I glued them all onto like this little cardboard box thing. So I made him a little cardboard laptop. And it's not quite what he had in mind, but he thought it was funny.
Right. Yeah, that would suck. I could. Did he ever get a laptop?
No, but see, I have the benefit of I live in a country where the government actually at least pretends to care about us. So so when they close down all
Canada, right?
Yes. So when they closed down all the schools for COVID, last year they sent $200 per kid, and then this year they did it again. So we use that money to buy, like we have a laptop and I have my work computer, and so we use that money to buy another laptop. So now we have two kids that have laptops that they can be on. It's not their laptop, but it's like one of them stays in my daughter's room because like whatever, we don't need two laptops downstairs at all times. And but then the third kid, like our school board also they let us like borrow Chromebooks from the school, so their third kid has a Chromebook.
Oh. Wow.
So they don't really have them, but they have them.
That makes. I like how you had said that your country pretends to care about its people. That is so true. It's almost like, especially in recent years with America, the country treats you like shit, and then people defend and fight for your country to continue treating you like shit. They just want the same old junk, and I don't understand it. Like, so many people in this country just don't want to help each other. They're always so scared of those evil socialists.
Yeah, well, I kind of had a conversation with my wife the other day. You're probably not aware if you watch YouTube as little as I do, but I put out a video back in December explaining my time in a multi-level marketing thing. And
ooh, which one?
It was called Team. They originally were part of Quickstar, which was a subsidiary of Amway, but they were Quickstar, so to not be you as well. All right. Yep. So we were in that thing for years, and they have you convinced to like the same thing, Republican ideals, and everything. And maybe this was specific to the MLM culture, but I get the feeling that the people who kind of lean toward voting Republican or conservative in Canada, it's the policies that they put in are bad for poor people but good for rich people, but they don't see themselves as poor people. They see themselves as future rich people.
That's actually a really good way to put it, because they do.
Yeah, it's like, I might be poor now, but when I'm a billionaire, I'm going to like that tax cut.
Well, they promise, like, so to clarify just a little bit, I came from an Amway family, but I never, while I used some of the products and bought some and kind of talked about my friends, I never really got involved in it, because it was just like, no, like, I'm not going to do all this work for somebody else and not get paid for it, for this potential promise that at some time I might make some money. Like, no, thank you. It's not worth it. Plus, the culture is, it turns your friends and family into your customers, and before you know it, you're going down your cell phone list and just pitching to everybody and trying to lure them into this exciting opportunity.
Like, oh, is there someone you went to high school with that you lost touch with? Find them on Facebook, send them a message. Yep. Yeah, we even had, have you been to any of the seminars?
Yes, I've been to a couple. It's been many years.
I used to be the voice at the seminar that was introducing people. Please welcome to the stage your hosts. Yeah. So yeah, I that actually kind of played into my like skills that I transferred into being on YouTube. So it wasn't all bad, but like
that's good.
Yeah, so like I would set up the audio system and run that. But yeah, so the culture there was kind of like, you need to sell everybody in your downline the tickets. Mm-hmm. And that includes people that you don't think are going to even buy tickets. So like they had what's called the 1% list, where if you think there's even just a 1% chance that they might go, you call them and see what you can do to sell them a ticket. So it gets to the point where like people that have quit are still getting calls saying, hey, you want to come to a seminar? Want to come to an open
that's
meeting?
Frustrating. Yeah, those... and people, it's almost in many ways, those seminars feel like a church or a religion, because the people just get so engulfed in this story, and that they are going to be rich one day. And I believe, if I'm recalling the numbers correctly, it's less than a 5% chance. Oh, wait, it might actually be 1%. Someone don't quote me on that. I'm trying to remember it from my interview with the anti-bot. But yeah, it is between 1% and 5%. It's a very, very low success rate. And people oftentimes invest so much time and money that they don't get back. And some of the stuff you're selling, like the way people buy into it, like they'll buy every product for themselves and just think everything they're doing is working. They don't actually review or look into the products, see what's actually in the supplements or any studies done. They'll just, hey, I took it, made me feel better, it works, and then they'll pass that along, and they'll do that with everything. And because Amway teaches you that they have the best stuff, you believe they have the best stuff.
Well, I mean, some of the Quickstar stuff was actually okay.
Oh, yes,
like
absolutely.
I have a lot of Christmas decorations that are Quickstar leftovers. But I was actually, I know, unfortunately, Ethan can't see me right now with the way I've got my setup thing going because I'm bad at this. But I'm actually holding up a DVD that I found while I was cleaning the basement. It's Pastor Robert L. Dickey III, who was a regular speaker at a lot of the events that we have. I've ripped the DVD and done a response video to him. But yeah, like when you said it's almost like a church thing, it's like, it was basically a church thing for the one because the one I was in, they actually, when Quickstar rebranded again and became Amway again, they actually split off from them. They left and they sued Quickstar for the rights to get out of their NDOs or
really? I didn't
non-disclosure
know that.
NDAs. Yeah. So. But yeah, their whole thing was like, we recruited a bunch of people by telling them, no, this isn't Amway. So when they turned into Amway, it's like, well, now you're turning us into liars, so we need to go now. Bye-bye. And Yeah, and so they split off. They did their own thing, and they kind of became a. You know how one of the biggest criticisms for that is that like people join it to make the money, but they don't really make the money off of the products. They make the money off of the system, the CDs
Right.
and the books and all that. So Team, to their credit, I think it's a pretty terrible company, but when you. Like, at least they were honest about the fact that they're making money off the CDs and stuff. So they actually made that their product. And, that was one of the things that, like, it was, they were supposed to help you in the 5 or 8 F's of your life. And they had these categories that started with F, and none of them was the fun one.
And they also teach the whole disconnect thing in a lot of these cultures. Like, if someone asks you questions about the MLM, it's an attack. They're being negative. They're not being supportive of you. You need to
They're
get
95%ers.
Yeah,
it's crazy that we're in different areas of it. I can say 95%er, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes. It's a troubled industry, and that takes advantage of a lot of people. And the problem is a lot of those people just don't know any better, and they're pumping so much money into their business for their future, and it's just scary how much you can lose doing that.
Yeah, we got into a lot of credit card debt while we were there.
That's not surprising, because they encourage you to buy the products. Hey, if you want to sell them, you got to know they work. You got to try them. You got to best represent. You got to have it in your house. You got to have stuff on hand and be ready for your customers to try. You got to sample it to other people. It's just the reasons they give you to just purchase their own stuff is just endless.
Yeah, it was a crazy experience. But,
one of the questions asked about like militant atheists, if there really is a militant atheist, and I guess by that meaning like a-hole and aggressive. I totally used to be one of those. When I first went through my atheist phase, oh man, I was a total D-bag to a lot of my Christian friends, like just for no reason, just going after their beliefs. And because it's just, you kind of feel
angry that you've been lied to for years.
Yes. And you're just like, why isn't everybody else seeing this? This is clear as day.
Yeah.
Here it is. And it's like, you have to learn, like, dude, chill out, let people do their thing, engage with them when you can, be patient, and play the long game.
Yeah, the angry guy yelling at you wasn't what convinced you to stop being a religious.
Well, and also, one thing that is really upsetting is when I see some atheists saying people who believe in religion are, it's a mental illness. Like, that's just, one, insulting to people with actual mental illnesses. And two, it's not true. Believing in religion is not a mental illness in any capacity, and people should stop saying that. Yeah,
absolutely. Actually, Shannon Q has a really good video on that subject. And how, like, the way people get to that conclusion is by, like, reading a definition strictly out of the DSM-5 and then ignoring the part where it specifically says, no, this does not apply to religion.
Right.
So
it's just, and it serves no purpose in conversation.
No.
And a lot of these people see making these claims wouldn't even last 5 minutes in a debate with some of my theist friends who would run circles around them. So it's not intelligence. They're not mentally ill. It's just a difference in skill set, like critical thinking skills and epistemology and things like that.
Well, and mental illness is like a real thing that happens in a brain. My neuroanatomy didn't change when I stopped believing. I mean, it did in the sense that there will be different neuronal connections or whatever, but it's not like there was some defect that was fixed by my no longer believing. Like it's not like rational thinking isn't a treatment, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a mental health expert, so I'm kind of floundering for the right terminology here, but I agree with you 100%. That's one of my pet peeves as well. So I get to a couple of questions that my members have posed.
Sure.
The darkness that comes before, would like to know if you play any tabletop role-playing games or FRP. I guess that's be first-person role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons or RuneQuest.
No, although I have like an active imagination and I would dress up and go to like Comic-Con and stuff like that, I do not get into those type of games. I don't really have the patience. I would say I'm an old school gamer. Like, I still love playing Contra Hardcores. I love playing... Ooh, there is a current game I like playing. But, also... See, that's the other thing. My brain, as you can see. Ooh. I used to, like, love TurboGrafx 16, so, like, Military Madness, Bonk's Adventure, Final Lap Twin, Devil's Crush. Like, those were so much fun. But now, I'm playing Smash Brothers on the Switch. I also play on the Wii U, but this past Friday we started doing like a atheist game night, and we're going to do it every Friday, where we're going to get together play Smash on the Switch every Friday, and hopefully stream it to my Twitch either starting this Friday or the following. So if you play Smash on Switch, hit me up.
I could never get into Super Smash Bros.
Really? It's so much fun.
I don't know. It's too hectic for me. Like, there's too much going on, and I can't remember which buttons to, like, I like video games, but I like ones that allow me to, like, sit back and think about what's going on. Like, probably my favorite game right now, I'm going to hear my wife chuckle again from the living room, is Hollow Knight, which is, it's just like some indie game that you're like this bug going through a kingdom that's been infected by I can use it. It's really weird to describe, but it's like the graphics in it are like the art is so beautifully done. The music is beautiful. The storyline is something that like you have to, like, in order to figure out what's going on, you have to go through and like read the dialogue from these other bugs and like piece this bug that I talked to way over here, that piece of dialogue goes with the bug that I talked to way over on the other side of the map, and so those two go together, and it's this really fascinating game. It's a big game. You can beat it in half an hour if you're really fast. The world record is 33 minutes, I think, but you can also spend like 50 hours in it and still not have found everything.
Yeah, so I totally don't have the patience or focus for those games. Like, do you remember, was it like The Mist or Seventh? Oh, crap, it's an old computer game. Someone help me out. It's like The Mist or Seventh or 11th Kingdom. I don't know, something. And it's this big, intricate game. And you know the only thing I would do in it? I would go in my room, turn the lights off, don't get any dirty thoughts, and I would just keep going on the roller coaster scene. Back and forth. I wouldn't actually play the game at all. I just wanted to be on the roller coaster. So I could never get into those games. They're just
Mist with a Y?
Mist. Yeah.
That's Matthew Autodidactyl, I think is how you say that. Yes,
that was it. Mist. Oh wait, am I mixing it up with something else that has a 7 in it? Mother. I don't remember now, but either way, yeah, it was so much fun just doing the roller coaster. I think the most RPG I've ever gotten is probably Mario 64 on Nintendo 64.
That's a solid game.
Yeah, it was a great game. I did have to use the manual though to get all the 120 stars.
You remember the magazines that you would get?
Yes.
I used to get those.
Yes, I couldn't wait for the Mario 64 one, because once that had it, I was like, finally, I can get all the stars I'm missing. There we go, 7th guest. I think that's it. Etherald Hardride said it. 7th. I believe that is the game.
Yeah, I know. For me, the Nintendo 64 was the first gaming system that I owned, and I like saved up my allowance and bought it with my own money. And but I remember before I bought it, I would go into our local Zellers, which is a department store that's now out of business ages ago. But they had like this booth set up where you could try games, and I'd go there and I'd play it, but after like 5 minutes it would reset. And probably the most frustrating was, you remember Ocarina of Time?
Yes.
Yeah, so they had that on their trial thing, but the opening for it was so long that you would play, like, it would literally go through the opening and then you'd play it for 5 seconds and then it would reset.
That would be frustrating.
So like, unless you were really quick with saving the game, you'd have to go through the whole opening again, and then you didn't get to play. So I was so mad at that. It was just like, oh, I just have to buy the system.
Right. Yeah, that's also another thing I've had trouble focusing on. I think aside from Smash, the last game I got into was Bloodstained, which was like the maker of Castlevania went off and made his own series. It's a super fun game, but that was the last one I was able to sit and focus on. And my buddy, he was involved in the startup Kickstarter, and he has this habit for some reason, whenever he gets involved in these starters, he gives my name instead of his. Like, and now he just submitted for this other starter pack, and he's like, just so you know, there's a scene. It's this Castlevania-like game. I'm gonna have to find out the name. And there is a churches, and he goes, I paid to be able to have your portrait in the church. So one day you're gonna see your face with your friendly neighborhood atheist in a church, in a portrait church in a video game.
That's like, amazing.
Well, thanks, man. That's awesome. And he, by the way, is Catholic, which is so funny.
Well, in my experience, most Catholics aren't really. They just
aren't true Catholics.
No, they just kind of like, like if you ask them their religion, they'll say Catholic. Okay, do you go to mass? No. Do you?
Yeah, that's true.
Do you actually believe this stuff? Not really. I mean, with any religion, there are some that are regular. Like I've known my fair share of cultural Catholics that, like, it's just their answer to one question, and it doesn't really affect their lives at all in any way.
That's actually a good way to put it too.
Which those people actually kind of confuse me though, because it's like, you know what the Catholic Church's reputation is, don't you? Like,
it's not good.
Why would, like, if you don't actually believe the stuff, why would you want to associate that with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I know he has said that, well, he's not here. I don't want to talk about what he has said, but yeah, he believes, but I would say, he doesn't go to mass or things like that. So
yeah. So next question came from just some geeky guy who's, I guess he's a member and he sent super chats. Okay. He says, where do you fit on the political spectrum, and are you considering making any political themed videos?
Okay, so I did want to actually, so I host a regular call-in show. I'm wanting to start a secondary call-in show that's focused solely on politics for people to call in, because my platform is based around the idea that we can have friendly conversations about controversial or difficult topics, focusing heavily on positive skepticism and friendly atheism. I've wanted to do that with politics as well, because I think a political call-in show where people remain civil and talk to each other is needed, but it's going to be very difficult to put together, because I'm really going to want to make sure I have the most qualified people, and I am not one that could host a political call-in show. I'm just not knowledgeable enough. And but where I fall, I would say I'm one of those evil socialists that I used to be so scared of, would be the best way to define my political position. Very, very left-leaning, but not like super woke left, where I want to just yell at everybody for everything. Not one of those. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's but that's one of those things that, like, I've seen people feature them in videos. Never met one in real life. And you can say the same about people on the right. Like you can, like, just like the conservatives were doing, or just like the Democrats were doing when, not like the official Democrats, but like people that lean Democrat were doing when Trump won the presidency, or no, sorry, the Republicans when Trump won the presidency were putting together videos of like the Democrat tears, and you can do the exact same thing now that Trump lost.
Right.
But like these extremes exist on both sides.
Absolutely.
And it's really easy to like just pick the worst representative and say that's what this all is. Like
Yes.
that's the meme. Like, oh, this is the world that leftists want.
Yeah.
And they take
Sorry.
I was just going to say, like, to put those together, they'll take like one or two extreme opinions that don't like. Sometimes they'll have some pretty good things in there, but then a lot of times they'll just take like the extremist opinions and it's like, no, that's not actually what we're fighting for.
No, and that's some of my family does believe in the QAnon stuff, and I only think that, holy crap, if I hadn't escaped, I may have bought some of those same things. But actually,
I'm kind of curious. Do they still think Q is a thing?
So, in speaking for my the specific family member I'm talking about, she didn't, to the extent, believe in this Q person, more so much as she shared a lot of their ideologies.
Okay.
But yeah, right now they are convinced that the election was stolen. Donald Trump is the rightful president, and now we are going into a communist regime run by China, where their rights are going to be slowly stripped away.
Yeah, well,
I'm not joking.
I unfortunately I know that. But yeah, I'm actually I'm kind of impressed that Biden has been enacting as progressive policies as he has been, because like that's the main fear, is that he's just going to be so establishment that he's just going to sit there in the center and not do anything worthwhile with his 4 years or 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's still not left-leaning.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely not the perfect candidate, but
No.
But like he's been a lot better than I thought he was going to be already.
Yeah, and the one thing I like, and I'll give Biden credit for, is, I shouldn't say the one thing, one of the things, is his willingness to admit when he's been wrong in the past. Something our previous president, Mr. Donald Trump, is incapable of doing, admitting any wrongdoing.
Did you see how happy Fauci looked when he gave his first Biden press? Like his cheeks were all red and he was all excited. It was so cute.
Well, yeah, because a lot of these people, quite literally, are anti-science. They'll be sitting there on their cell phones telling you how bad science is. And it's like, really? Really? You're on a cell phone right now. How do you think that got there?
Magic?
So, yeah, I do hope to one day host a political call-in show as well, because I like bridging communication gaps. I don't want my channel to get, like, there are plenty of people tackling, they have, philosophy, science, and everything. I want the average layman who gets lost on philosophical mumbo jumbo to call in, or doesn't understand critical thinking. Like, those are the people I want to attract. I don't want philosophical masturbation on my channel. Like, go have fun with it. It's cool. If it helps you, great. Most of us don't enjoy that, and those are the people I'm trying to get talking about these things, is everyday people sharing their stories and hopefully learning to challenge their own belief system. And that's one of the reasons I always wanted a call-in show, and why, like, I have that call-in show, shameless promotion, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, where, like, I allow people who believe in the supernatural, conspiracy theories, aliens, anything, to call in, and all we're trying to do is get them to start asking themselves more questions. When is a good time to believe something? How do you know what you know? One of the most important questions I learned. So, yeah.
That's actually, you mentioned like philosophical masturbation. That's actually one of the reasons I don't generally respond to William Lane Craig on my channel, because like he's not as bad as Jordan Peterson is for it, but he's one of those people that you have to try really hard to figure out what the heck he's even saying, and then once you decipher it, it's like, oh, you're actually not saying much. It's like,
right.
Why are you using these big obscure terms?
It's just like to confuse people, and just like I don't see the purpose of it. Like most of these philosophical arguments, I'm like, okay, all they sound like is a bunch of random assertions that, unsubstantiated claims that people throw out. That's all a lot of these philosophical arguments sound like. Like most of them can't be, from what I've heard, investigated, tested, or looked into. It's just therefore God.
If we're talking about the philosophical arguments for God, they almost all of them require, like, the premises are based on pure assumption.
Right.
Like, premise 1, if such and such exists, then this must exist. Like, okay, well, how would you even demonstrate that?
Exactly. And I don't know. It just, I don't want to waste time on it. There are people who cover that, and that's awesome. But I'm trying to appeal to, a very, very different crowd.
Yeah. Now, this is not to poo-poo the subject of philosophy in general, because philosophy is very important to science, like especially the philosophy of metacognition, which is like thinking about how we are thinking, and like so that would be like identifying logical fallacies that you are committing yourself. So you just have to kind of always be aware of, like, okay, how did I arrive at that conclusion? Was I using sound methodology? Is there something else that could be affecting it? And that's all philosophy based. So, like, philosophy is important.
Absolutely.
But it's also really easy to use to make yourself look like you're making some profound point when you're really not.
Right. It's like, if you can explain it in big words, you should be able to break it down in little words.
Oh, who was it that said? There's someone that said, like, you the best way to show that you really understand a subject is to be able to explain it so that a layman can understand it. Like, that's not the exact quote.
Stealing that.
I'm stealing that from someone else. Like, I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact quote, but I forget who said it. I should probably bring the chat back up. It's probably in there like 5 times by now.
Mine was the way I worded it with some guy. I was like, hey, I want you to explain it to me like I'm 12 years old. And immediately, this was after like 15 minutes long of this, these philosophical arguments, and he was just like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. It's like, well, there you go.
Yeah. All right. So still a couple minutes. I'm going to start reading the super chats. But if anybody else has some questions for Ethan, now's your time to send it by super chat. So just some geeky guy again said Matt Powell is exactly like Paul Dano's character from There Will Be Blood, both looks and personality. I don't watch that show or movie.
No,
I'm not sure.
I think that's a movie.
Is
There
it a
Will
movie?
Be Blood. I haven't seen it yet.
Neither have I.
Yeah, no. It sounds familiar, but let me look it up real quick because I think I know which movie that is. There.
Paul Dano, There Will Be Blood.
All right, so I'm not sure which character in that he's referring to, but yeah,
oh God!
So,
I just did a Google image search for Paul Dano, There Will Be Blood, and first picture is a guy that does look like he holds himself very similar to, like, he doesn't really look like him, but he looks like he is like him.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's him, right? Like, it doesn't really look like him, but the way he's holding himself, and he's right beside the friggin' cross on a pulpit, and
yep. Oh wow, that is a good one. That's
a good call.
And to be fair, Matt Powell was incredibly pleasant the whole time. Although it was so frustrating having to repeat myself and saying, I don't know, or this isn't my area, or how he really wanted to avoid particular topics and only wanted to go to those areas where I didn't know what I was talking about. And he really, he has some, and he just has some deep-seated hatred, particularly towards members of the LGBTQIA plus community, and I don't understand it. Like, he just has this idea in his head that they're so evil and so wrong, and it's like, and the reasons he tries to give to back it up is just like, dude, what is wrong with you? Why are you so angry at everybody? Like,
there's no good reason outside of the Bible to be bigoted against LGBTQ people.
No. And I just want to be like, bro, I want you to come over and I want you to smoke some weed with me. And let's just have a talk then. Like, just relax,
calm down,
dude.
relax a bit. Yeah. But, actually, are you familiar with Tommy McMurtry? I know he showed up in the movie too, but
I know the name. I'm not remembering which one he is.
He's the one that he had it out with Jimmy Snow of Dear Mr. Atheist and The Line and all that, like a year and a half ago, something like that. And he basically called Jimmy a pumpkin because the pumpkin's the biggest fruit there is. And so that's when... Yeah, but Jimmy just kind of clapped back with that, and he took ownership of it, and he put out a whole video. He's like, I don't know if Tommy McMurtry is sexually attracted to pumpkins. He's like, I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying that we don't know. And so like that became the kind of meme for that. You can actually go to TommyMcMurtry.com, like even right now, just go there really quick.
Can you spell it?
Tommy TommyMcMurtry. No, MURTRY.
Oh that pops up right away. Timothy McMurtry is sexually attracted to pumpkins.
And then you see all the pictures?
This is so awesome.
Yeah, so when I did my response video to them, I might have photoshopped in a pumpkin on their little table in the field that they had.
And what was with, I'm sorry, but 4 people in suits at a table in the middle of like
no
farmland?
That was
like,
weird.
Right. It was so weird.
Like the thing that I pointed out on that was like I'm sure they filmed it before this happened, but I was comparing it to Trump's mini desk that he had. If you remember that, like he's in this big room with this little tiny table, and it's like they saw that and they're like, I can one up that, and they put the table in a cornfield. Right.
Like it's just, it's so odd, and it has in no way demonstrates that atheism is a religion. It's not. And most of it doesn't have anything to do with atheism, and all they do the whole time is basically insult atheists for not accepting God as the conclusion. One of the things I did learn was like the way he had said, so you believe monkeys made
the surfing
rafts.
Monkeys, yes.
Surfing monkeys. And when I actually looked into it, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but what they believe happened is not that monkeys intentionally hitched on some island or built some raft. It was between like the islands breaking up or something, like they got carried away. It wasn't them making something.
So from the way he cut the video, I could tell from your answer that he was cutting out the setup where he, like, I'm guessing you never heard of that before he brought it up. And it seemed like he set that up to make it sound like the monkeys built a raft and then set off to sea on purpose.
That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, because he cut out the setup so that you didn't see that you were being introduced to this idea, and so he edited it to make it look like you were saying, like, yeah, of course monkeys can do that.
Right. So and all I repeatedly said so many times is, I don't know, it's possible. Like, I'm not going to rule things out when I don't even know. I'm not going to make these claims and pretend to know things. Like, well, you are.
That's the thing, though, is that like today we have lizards in the Bahamas that do island hopping on similar vegetation rafts, like not on purpose. They just get stuck on vegetation that goes out to sea and they end up on a different island. It happens all the time. And so we're talking about, like, when I looked into it, we're talking maybe 2 rafting events over a 50 million year time period made the journey across the Atlantic when the continents were much closer together, like between Africa and South America. And then what really astounded me with that is that they kept on presenting it like, oh, evolution has this problem of monkeys like getting to South America. Evolution teaches that monkeys got to South America somehow, so they had to come up with a reason, and so they had the surfing monkey thing. It's like, okay, but don't you believe that evolution, like all of our dating methods and everything, are like this big conspiracy anyway? Why would they release the information in a way that would make that a problem for them that they then have to solve in this ridiculous way? Why would they not just say the monkeys evolved there? Or like with the fossil we found that made us think that there was a second rafting event, let's just classify that as one of the New World monkeys and then we don't have a problem. Or let's just fudge the dates a little bit so that it's back when it was Pangea, and it doesn't matter. Like, dating is already a hoax. Why not just date that somewhere where it's convenient? Mm-hmm. So that's just one of those things that just, it blows my mind.
And as you know, part of me wants to say I regret doing the interview, but at the same time I don't, because I did go into it with good intentions. Like, despite there was not one person, not a single person that said, yes, Ethan, you should do this interview. Every single person said, do not do it. This man it's going to be dishonest and you are going to be cut and clipped. And I'm just like, even when I was driving to the interview, in my head I'm saying, you know, you're getting set up right now. You should not be doing this. And I'm like, no, give him a chance. He said he's misunderstood. He said, you know, all he wants to do is talk to a friendly atheist. So just do it. You'll be fine.
Well, see, the way I would look at it is you got an educational experience out of it. And ultimately, I don't think he's got enough reach that his video is actually going to make a difference at all. So it's all positive for you, and it's not much for him.
And we did have a lot of fun. Myself, Kenneth Leonard, and Brainbug, we did a full review of the movie on my channel, and that was it was a headache and a half, but it was so much fun.
I'll have to go give that a watch as well. I must have missed that. So yeah, moving on through the super chats, we got Graham Finlayson is a new member. Welcome. Water Blanc said, I wasn't sure if this was a joke or whether this was a serious question, but I did answer it in the chat earlier when he sent it. It says, I have ADHD or I have a PhD. A PhD?
Oh.
So that's one of those, it could be a joke or it could have been he misheard us speaking, but I answered that at the time. But and then there was the fuck, marry, kill one. Steve Leonard said, I went down the rabbit hole with S. Global yesterday. What a waste of time. Like, I feel like I could have a good conversation. It might not be productive in that S. Global, they keep changing their name. I'm almost certain that they wouldn't change their mind about anything, but I like to have the conversations because like it's for the people watching the conversations, not necessarily for the people taking part in it.
Exactly. And I mean, that's also why I like engaging sometimes people with more extreme beliefs, because I want them exposed to what I'm saying. I want the people listening to them exposed to what I'm saying. Like, I would love, like, if right now, like, Matt said he wanted a second interview at his church, I would do it in a heartbeat. Because while he may be able to try and get me with those gotcha questions on science, I'm really good with communicating with people. And I would look at that as an absolute positive experience, because then I would get to show an entire church friendly atheism and what it looks like to not be an asshole.
Absolutely. Abe Lowen sent $10, says thanks for everything you do. Thank you for the $10. Glass Monster says, Ethan, would you join my Discord so we can chat?
So yes, I will, but here's the thing. I'm forewarning you this. I give my friends a headache. I'm horrible at Discord. Best bet is to send me a friend request. I'll accept it. But I'm really bad at going on it because a lot of the community I've built it started on Facebook, so I'm prevalent in Facebook chats and like private groups I've made. But I do have a Discord at YFNAtheist. Feel free to send me a friend request.
Just so it just hit my head now when you said that quick YFNAtheist. Just kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of like you're fucking atheist. You're an effing atheist.
my god! I never even caught that.
It didn't occur to me either until you just said it quickly like that. And it was like, oh. I think that's great.
I think that's phenomenal. Wow. I can't believe I never not only thought of that, but no one's ever said that before. Fucking atheist. But it does stand for your friendly neighborhood
atheist, yes. Like Spider-Man, but less sticky stuff out the palms.
Yes. So that's who I kind of compare myself to. Like this positive little kid, hoping everyone will do the right thing. And just kind of there, but ready to do the fighting when he needs to.
What's your favorite version of Spider-Man?
I grew up with the Tobey Maguire one. I really grew to love the Andrew Garfield version, but oh my God, Tom Holland, man!
He's so good at it.
He's phenomenal, and I felt. That's actually like one of the reasons like I came up with that name was specifically based on how he was as the character and how I felt I would or could approach atheism. I think how my personality.
Think it depends what you're looking for out of the character, but I think as far as the your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man goes, Tom Holland nails it. Like
yes.
he's just like this annoying kid who's just trying to be nice to everybody.
Yes.
But he comes off as annoying sometimes.
Which does happen. There are people who think I'm annoying. I know I am annoying to deal with. Trust me. I am like, if you're on my Facebook or on my TikTok, you'll see some of the obnoxious things I do. Like just... So I'm trying to be more sex positive and fight off my conservative indoctrination. So what did I do? I got gold Speedos and a gold hat, and I did a pole dance and posted it on my Facebook. So
I thought you were going to say TikTok, and I was like, oh, you're going to make me have to get on TikTok. But
so I didn't have the courage to put it on my TikTok. I do have a lot of dancing videos. Like you'll see me doing NSYNC. Like I know all of Bye Bye Bye, Dirty Pop. You'll see me doing a lot of fun and goofy dances. But yeah, the stripper one, I could not bring myself to post on TikTok. So that was Facebook only. Well,
you know what? I'm going to admit here. So I did a face reveal to my inner group of online friends before I did it on my channel. My face reveal to them was I took my cell phone into the shower with me, grabbed one of my kids' rubber duckies, and I sang the Bert and Ernie Rubber Ducky song in a video. that was how, you're rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath time lots of fun.
So, did you just not want your face to be seen for a long period of time, or what was it?
I don't know. I think it's just privacy concerns. I had a job at a restaurant that was like very public. My boss he freaked out when he found out I did a face reveal because he's like, oh well, what if a customer recognizes you and then they see your content and they're going to leave us a bad review and stuff.
Wow.
Like so it was kind of like I make my money as a waiter in a restaurant, so I'm going to if I put my face out there, then there's a possibility that I'm going to have a negative interaction with a guest because of my face.
Right.
But then eventually, when it got to a point where it's like, I'm making more money at my channel than I am at my job, and I've just told them I'm going down to one shift a week, and it's like, you know what? I'm just going to put my face out there, let them fire me if they want.
Right.
And I once, do you know who Bodie Hodge is?
I do not.
He's Ken Ham's son-in-law.
Oh, okay.
I waited on Bodie Hodge. He was in my section one day when Answers in Genesis was doing a conference in Niagara Falls. And I took a selfie with him. And I have not posted it publicly because my manager made me promise not to, because he was all concerned about the repercussions of because
wow.
I think right before he showed up, I had just done a video on him, and I was not nice in that video at all, because it was one of his this is why being gay is wrong videos, and I don't have I don't have the tolerance for that. Bad ideas, no. Sure, I can tolerate that, but if you're gonna be bigoted towards people, human beings, wonderful people, it's no, there's no reason for that.
No. That whole toxic masculinity, alpha Christian bullshit, male stereotype. Fuck all of that. That bullshit was pounded in my head. Like, why are you so flamboyant? You must be gay. You need to be more manly, Ethan. Come on. Like, I hated that shit because.
I love those. Have you been following how they've added the new Sigma male thing? Like there's alpha males and beta males, and now there's Sigma males, and I guess there's a couple others as well. It's like an alpha male that doesn't actually fit the alpha male description. It's weird. I don't know. It's like it's an alpha male, but they don't fit in the hierarchy properly. But it's like you read the descriptions of all these things, and it's like this sounds an awful lot like non-binary genders. Aren't most of the people that get behind these things kind of against the whole non-binary gender thing? Because like here they are saying that like some men are less masculine than others, so they're more feminine presenting. So maybe they don't like. But then there's the like it's non-binary genders is what it is.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Brainbug is shilling the big event on Thursday, so I believe that's That's am I on that? Is that me?
Yeah. Can I shill that?
You can shill that.
All right. So everyone check this out. So let me pull up just so I have the photo to reference. So this Thursday is the 1 year anniversary of my channel. So what I am doing is using it as an opportunity to raise money for recovering from religion. So I am throwing a jam-packed 3-hour event from 7 to 10 p.m. and we are trying to raise $5,000 for them. And I have a list of 36 guests, including myself. So the event will be hosted by me, Hannah Vaughn, Jenna Belk, Kenneth Leonard, and Brainbug. And then, here's our guest list. Rick Lockhart, Atheist Pastor, Lucas Goliath, Anthony Magnabosco, Puck, V. La Bianca, Seth Andrews, Neil the 604 Atheist, the Whole Atheist Roundtable, Thomas Westbrook, aka Holy Kool-Aid, Feist Rhino, IQ, Dean Meadows, Randolph Richardson, Shanna Marie, Holly Lynn, Eric Murphy, Objectively Dan, the Godless Engineer, Mandisa Thomas, Dan Jacob, Chris Mather, the Daily Atheist, Dave Warnock, Cynthia McDonald, Cindy Plaza, Dragnot, Larry the Christian, Dr. Daryl Ray, the Sassy Heathen, Chris Shelton, Aaron Ra, and the Genetically Modified Skeptic. So we have a friggin' huge event all taking place.
Star-studded lineup.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so this is something. There's you, Paulogia, Shannon. There's a whole bunch of you that like keep getting these high-profile guests on. How do you do that? Because even now, when you might consider I still consider my channel kind of small because like there are people out there with millions of subscribers. But like now that I'm one of the guys or whatever, I've still I've messaged Seth Andrews like once, and he was super nice, and he actually did. It was actually in my first Matt Powell thing. I took a quote of his out of context on purpose, and I got Seth Andrews to voice it for me, and it was amazing. Nice. And he did it, and he was super nice about it. But like 9 times out of 10, I go to I'll find someone's email address, like Richard Lenski. I would love to have Richard Lenski on here. He's the guy that runs the long-term evolution experiment with E. coli. I would love to have a chat with him, but I find his email address and I'm like, what do I even say? I don't know how to get big names on my channel.
Just ask.
I know.
When I wanted to talk to people. Now, Grant, the first person I got was Jenna Belk, which was as a direct result of Puck and his relationship with her. He, heavily was like, dude, he's a nice guy, give him a chance. And she saw my content and she thought I was nice, so she jumped on it. And after that, it was just like, I just started messaging the atheist I wanted to talk to, and I just kept getting yeses. And I was like, I don't know how this keeps happening, but people keep saying yes to me, so cool. And it's always like, I just say, hey, my name's Ethan. This is my approach to atheism. This is what my channel's about, who I am. I would love to talk to you. And people started saying yes, and then I started this call-in show, and now I keep getting more guests, which is awesome. I know next month we've got a couple more people like Surik the Skeptic and Katie Montgomery. They're going to be guesting on the my call-in show, which is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. So I don't know. I just ask, and so far I've been really lucky. Now with this occasion, obviously it's different because it's a fundraiser. Who doesn't want to be a part of a fundraiser for recovering from religion?
Oh yeah, I actually did get Matt Dillahunty on when I was doing a fundraiser as well. So
yeah, I mean, it is an incredibly.
But I wouldn't have had the courage to email him unless I was already put in a group. Like I've been friends with Jimmy since before his channel shot up to he went up really fast. But like back when he was like 30,000 subscribers, I've been friends with him, and he just kind of plunked me in a chat group that had Matt Dillahunty in it as well. And if that hadn't happened, I would have never been able to get up the courage to ask him. You can actually see. The first time I met Aaron Ra was live on the atheist church service thing that Mandalorian does.
Okay.
That's your Twitter name right now. I know that's not. I'm blanking on.
I'm not familiar.
Brainbug was on it with me. But like you can actually see me meet Aaron for the first time, and I kind of flub over my words and start fanboying over him, and I could see it that he's given me this response is like, okay, calm down. No, I don't remember the one time I interacted with you on Twitter. You can calm down. And I was like, okay. I don't know.
Trust me, I've fanboyed too. Like the first time I had Jenna on, I was like, and then same with like V and Eric Murphy. You could just see
Mama Atheist. It was Mama Atheist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you could just see, like, in my eyes, the excitement. And I was like, same with when I went and talked Heathen. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, I have no problem nerding out in front of people. But the best advice I could give, and I'm a much smaller YouTuber, so I don't know that I should be giving you advice, but just ask. Like, these people, man, are so supportive. And most of my guests that I've had on over the past year, like, keep coming back, and that makes me so happy that people are willing to work with me time and time again. But it would not have happened if I did not just reach out and ask.
So no, well, with that, you have a lot more experience with that sort of thing than I do, actually. So I mostly just talk to videos that are already done, and I talk to them I talk to them as if we're having a conversation, which people get annoyed at sometimes. But
Steven said you are one of his go-to channels. I subscribed as soon as I found YouTube. I know Puck also. He was the one that first introduced me to you. He's like, you gotta check out Rhino. Like, he speaks highly of you as well and likes your videos.
Yeah, you make some good content, and you are a very likable guy. You seem very approachable as well. So yeah, I think. That pretty much wraps it up. So everybody remember to tune into Ethan's channel on Thursday. I've got his Linktree link in the description. That'll take you to a page with all his important links on it, including his YouTube channel. So you can go ahead and check that out. If you go to my gaming channel, which most of you don't even know exists, because why would you? Because I don't really do anything there. But tomorrow night, I've decided I'm actually going to try and speed run Hollow Knight. I'm going to see if I can get the under 5 hour achievement. Probably won't do it in one sitting, but yeah, if that's something that would interest you, I'll probably start around 8:30, something like that. So, anything you want to say before we go?
Nope, I'm good. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Rhino, thank you so much for inviting me onto your channel. I really appreciate this opportunity, and
it's been a pleasure.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. And with that, please enjoy the fact that I actually have an end thing prepared so I don't cut myself off mid-word. So, yeah, I guess I'd need to push that button.
Do it.